If you were in a room with everyone you ever met, who would be the one you'd look for? My husband. I would love to see him strong and healthy one last time, as opposed to the sick, atrophied man he was at the end. He was a runner, and he had the most beautiful strong legs. He was such a good dad. Whoever organized this event of thousands of people, most of which I don't yet remember. My best friend Gabrielle. She died from cancer when we were 12. It was so hard watching her go. I named my firstborn after her, and I'm best friends with her little sister now. I miss her. I met a man on a plane once, sat next to me. He was about my dad's age and later I found I was about his daughter's age. We started chatting, and just a few days before I had just cut off contact with my veteran alcoholic father. He asked me about myself, and I told him I worked in child welfare. He then told me he was a veteran addictions therapist. I don't yet even remember how we got on the topic, but by the end of the flight he was telling me tell your dad you love him. Tell him you want him to get sober for you, because you want to see him live a happy and full life. It was such a bizarre encounter with what was going on in my life at the time, and I'm not religious, but maybe divine intervention placed us in that place at that time. You'd look for him to tell him how much that conversation meant to me, that it was the most impactful meeting with a stranger you've ever had. Edit. Update commented below. The love of my life. He suffered in silence and lost his life to suicide. It's been 5 years and I still look for him everywhere. Rashim. I loved him for more than half my life. I just wish we had made up before he passed. I do not know if this would be the one person I would look for, but it would be someone to think about. There was this old homeless man that would tap dance on a corner every day on my walk to school. He got some money from tourists. For a while he had written in glitter, background for movies available for hire, or something like that. I changed schools and haven't seen him forever. I wonder where he is now. There are also those friends where you went to summer camp for a week and became the best friends and never saw them again. I would like to see how they are doing. Lastly, I was ice skating in a resurfaced lake this winter. I met a few kids there, and I was pretty good friends with them. It was time to go, and I told them to meet me back there the next day. They said sure. It was bad weather the next day, so I didn't go. I wonder where they are now. Edit. Winter. I went ice skating this winter. For me it would be the guy who mooned me in downtown Denver one day. Semicolon. As I'm pulling up, a homeless looking man in baggy jeans and a crooked smile points at me and grins. Before anything in my mind can register, he turns away from me, drops his jeans and moons me. Underneath, *NOTHER* pair of jeans, completely obfuscating his lunar entities. He lets out a laugh bathed in hysteria and casually walks away from me, walking towards the financial district, knowing his mark saw nothing but cotton ear. Got you years. Yeah. My childhood best friend. We were best friends from 4 to 17. He battled with leukemia from 13 to 17. The last year of his life he was constantly in and out of the hospital and was immunocompromised. I got to see him, but we had to keep our distance. We were planning on going to the same college for engineering. I know all he would want to know is if I did it and kept moving. I plan on naming my firstborn after him 12 years later, and I still think about him most days, and he is my driving force to stay positive and keep on pushing. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. Yes, I went to the school we were planning on. I got BS in mechanical engineering, and I'm currently getting a master's in engineering management. His name was Brian, so we named the child Brian or Brianna. Please do not purchase awards for me, donate that money, or buy a beer. My dad, I miss him. A friend I had while in the army. He died in 2019 at the age of 34 from cancer. From diagnosis to death was about 6 months. He was very private about his illness. I never knew he was sick until he died. It was one of those life events who've never been able to get over year for lack of a better term. So when I was super young, me and my sister would play in the backyard. There was also another street that was beside us, and another family's backyard came up to our fence. There was this girl that would always come up to the fence and QLL three of us would play together. One day she and her family vanished, and I never saw her again. Just to be clear, this is not a romantic thing. We were just really good friends. But I haven't seen her in so long I forgot everything about her. Name, voice, age, even her face. My friend Matt, who died back in 2005. He was essentially the architect of my moral compass. Even the people who are dead now, my grandpa, if not, my so. Haley. I met her when I was 14 at this church thing. She had had a rough go at life, but was very kind to me. We spent most of it talking on a little boat on the lake/pond. I got her number, so we could hang out. I called and her mom cussed me out. I tried to clear things up with her at church on Sunday, telling her that I wasn't the one turning her daughter to drugs. They weren't at church and I never saw her again. I miss you, Haley. You were very kind, and I wished we could been better friends. Edit. I'm a woman. Our relationship was platonic, guys. My prom date. I thought we were going as friends. I was too young and stupid to realize how much she liked me and put herself out there just to have me not notice. Owe her an apology for that. My husband. Even though it's likely he's already beside me, then I'd finally get to introduce him to my grandfather. My mum. She died on the 2nd of this month. I'd give anything just to get a hug from her. My daddy. My mama would be right there with him, so I'd look for him first. That girl who asked for my number, but never called me. It seemed like fate. I had been mourning the loss of a loved one for years at this point, and my feelings basically stopped existing. But then I heard a song in a TV show that made me bawl my eyes out. I decided to embrace the sad feeling, downloaded the song, and went for a walk listening to it on repeat. On my way back home I was waiting for a light to change green when a jogger pulled up next to me. The light turned green, and she continued jogging, but when she got across the street, she stopped and waited for me. She motioned for me to take my headphones off, then asked me if I was listening to Anzabel. I said yes, and told her about how I had been emotionally dead for years until I heard that song. She told me she had the same experience and first heard the song in the same show that I did. We chatted for about 15 minutes until we were going separate ways, but not before she asked me for my number. But no happy ending here. It has been at least 7 years and I've since changed my number. For all the people asking, the song is Riverside. My friend I had from pre-K to 5th grade never got the chance to get any contact information. My grandfather. He died when I was around 5, and I loved him as much as my parents. Although I don't remember much of him, I would really want to sit down and talk to him, get to know him. I miss him. First, my deceased sons who passed years apart. Then, this guy I had a date with in high school. He asked me out again the next night, and I turned him down. I feel bad B/C I never told him why. It was B/C he was so incredibly sexy that I didn't trust myself. I was only 15 and wanted to stay pure. Unfortunately, 15-year-olds aren't necessarily good with words. My cousin. He died last year after being struck by a car. He was 10 years younger than me and like a little brother. His birthday is one day before mine. My birthday is going to hit different this year. My daughter. She was 9 years old when she passed 14 years ago. The pain never goes away. I so love being her dad. We will meet again. My BF when I was 19. I want to tell him how much he has shaped my life even 17 years later. And I still love him. My mom. My daughter, who I'm hoping would be cradled in my grandma's arms. Damn you cruel world. taking everyone away. A man pulled a teenage me out of a crowd at the MN State Fair 17 years ago. He insisted that studying abroad was the best choice he ever made and that, if I did it, I wouldn't regret it. He shoved a sign-up booklet into my arms and passionately implored me to fill it out. I could tell he meant it. 6 months later I received my acceptance into the Rotary Student Exchange program. I was off to Japan. This not only changed my life forever, but that of my family's. The Japanese girl I hosted for a year was just my sister's maid of honor. I now speak 4 languages. I'm married and live in Beijing. And none of this would have happened if I hadn't been right there at that exact moment, or if he had grabbed someone else. I'd just like to find him and tell him thank you, you were right. The friends I've lost to AIDS, any one of them, I still miss them all. I used to be in a meetup group that gathered once a month or so. One of the members, who I never really talked to, had a girlfriend who was *DOPE*. Every time she came along to a meetup, we instantly clicked and spent the whole event chatting. I wanted to exchange info so that we could keep in contact, but I'd always forget when we saw each other. One day her girlfriend, the actual group member, shows up and tells us that they had a nasty breakup. I seriously contemplated asking for her ex's number because I really wanted to be her friend. I'd luck for her